Hello everybody, my name is Coolblue and I'm bringing you guys this video of me playing yet another board game. I'm going to be playing today Mint Control, not Mint Works. This is basically in the same family as the game of Mint Works, if you guys know that game. And it's made by the same people, this is Mint Works here. One of my favorite go-to small 10 games. This is made by I think 524 Labs is the name of them, but they're currently going by Paquito. That's their new name, their new company name. So made by the same designer, made by the same company, and pretty much feels, in general, in my opinion, the same way. But we'll get to that. I'll let you guys make your own determination as you see through this video. So everything comes in this little small mint tin, all the pieces, the rule sheets, there you go, and the components, and all the little tiny mints that come with it. And the goal of the game, because this is a area control game, as denoted by the name, the goal of the game is to control the areas and get the points, and also you do some action selection type things too. So I'm going to put this all to the side. And the mechanics of it are very simple and straightforward, at least as far as this game is concerned. Essentially, your goal is to have the most victory points at the end of the game. And I'll bring some of the cards up here on the other camera so you can see some of the examples of cards. And during the game you'll be able to get some different perks, some special perks. Sometimes it's better to have certain things than others. It just depends on what you're doing at the time and what your strategy is. But as you can see, these are some of the cards that are in the game. So just looking at the cards, the anatomy of a card up here, you have the victory points. So this is how many victory points that you'll get if you control the card. Some of these have little broken stars because they have special scoring conditions, and that is explained in the text. The other information on the card is that you have the spaces. So this card, for instance, can have 5 mints placed on it, whereas this card can only have 3. And this is the cost. So it costs you $3, 3 mints, to put one of your control tokens on this card. And subsequently for this one, it costs you 1 mint to put a token on this card. And the other information is sometimes cards will have text. Like I said, these cards, like this one, and this one, they all have text at the bottom that explains how they score, explains some special benefit they gave you, I should say, not how they score. And the last but not least, there is these little boxes down at the bottom. Sometimes they have these boxes on this side, which means that when you play a certain action, people who have mint at that location will be able to get that benefit. And then this other one is when somebody kicks you off of a card or ousts you off a card, as denoted by that symbol, then you get that benefit. So if somebody kicks you off of a card, you, the person who got kicked off, will be able to get the benefit as denoted by that particular card. So if I get kicked off of this card, if one of my mints or one of my control tokens gets kicked off of this card, I will get $2 back from the bank. So that's kind of how that works. So it's a pretty interesting game mechanic-wise. It's very simple, straightforward. Not really a ton of information to kind of take in, just to kind of dive right into it and play. And there's also a solo mode, and I'll be playing the solo mode. The anatomy of a round, just to go over that, is that when you're playing a multiplayer game, so 2 or more, you will get these kind of tokens. These are all 5 of the action tokens. And if you've ever played anything similar to like Roll for the Galaxy, Race for the Galaxy, or Puerto Rico, or San Juan, I think that's another one that's like that, you essentially have a general idea of the mechanics. But for anybody who may have not played those type of games, the person who selected, so the active player who selected the particular action, so if I was the active player and I selected this one, the person who selected it gets both effects, and everybody else around the table will only get the top effect. So in this case, on this card for Scavenge, everybody around the table will get no effect, but I, as the active player, will be able to get this effect of gain a mint from the bank or steal a mint from somebody. Subsequently, if I do the earn action, as you can see, everybody around the table will get $1, but the person who selected this action on their turn will get $2 instead. And so on and so forth with everything else. Presence is one of the big tokens, or one of the big actions in this game. So the presence one, what this does is essentially when you play it, you will get the influence actions from the locations. So remember, the influence actions are these, the things on this side. So everybody who has a mint at the supermarket, for instance, when the presence card is played, will be able to get the effect here. So if two people have one of their mints on here a piece, then both of them will get $1. That's pretty much what that means. And then the person who played the card will be able to get the oust effect of a location that they control. So if I, let's go back to wholesaler. If I and some other person had wholesaler, I had three of my tokens there, and somebody else had 2 of their tokens, then I would have control of the location because I have a majority, and I would be able to get the oust effect. Now, if it was the other way around, if I as the active player played presence and somebody had 3 of their tokens here and I only had 1 of mine, I don't have control, so I do not get the special benefit of being able to claim this oust action for myself. But if I had another location where I had control, I would be able to get that oust effect instead. And keep in mind that this, based on the text of this, it says gain a oust effect, so it doesn't say gain all oust effects, so it's just only one of them. So that's pretty much it. That's effectively all you really need to know as far as the moving parts of the game. When it comes to turns, the turns will basically go in a, basically everybody will select one of the actions to do, and then after that, after everybody has had a turn to choose one of the 5 actions available, then all the actions go back in. The first player token will move to clockwise, and that person will initiate the next round. If you're playing a 2-player game, everybody is going to choose 2. So both players are going to choose up to 2, or well, both players are going to choose 2 before the round resets. And that's the only difference. And of course, if you're playing solo, you and the AI opponent will choose 3, and they can be overlapping. I'll explain that here shortly, since I'm going to actually be playing a few solo playthroughs. So before I get to the playthrough, let me go ahead and just give a brief review of the game, since I don't see a whole lot of reviews on this game yet. I've had the opportunity to play, or to help people play, a 4-player game of this last night, actually. And based on my interpretation of the rules, things didn't go well. So that's going to bring me to my very, very, very first key point about this game. This game, in my opinion, is a very solid, good game. I like how quick it is, I like how swift it is, I like how simple it is. But the rule book and the errata that doesn't exist yet, at least the errata from Paquito that I haven't found myself, that not existing is hurting this game a lot, because there's a lot of ambiguity in the symbolism, to the point to where, and I'll just give you an example, to the point to where the game that I was guiding last night, and sure, you can blame me for this part, you can't really blame the company too much, but this card was in play in the 4-player game I was mentioning before. So the people I was teaching how to play and trying to act as an active teacher, one of the people brought up the question of, hey, when I do the influence action, or when I do the presence action, I get influence here, do I get $1 per mint? Because that's what the symbol says. But the rulebook doesn't clarify. Now, granted, symbolism does say this, and I've gone on online to confirm this from a previous video that Paquito's released regarding the game. So yes, they were right. The person who asked me the question was correct. For every mint that you have here, you get this action, which is why it has a plus. Makes sense now, but the rulebook doesn't explicitly state this, which makes it a little bit difficult, because my interpretation was you only get 1 mint, even if you have multiple mints there. So my interpretation, of course, was wrong. You can't really blame the developer too much for that, but from the rulebook's perspective, it wasn't clarified, so therefore I kind of had to go with my own intuition, and my intuition was wrong, ultimately. So that's kind of one of the things. Another thing, too, is there's sometimes symbolism in the game that maybe don't make it as clear. I understand, as I understand it, this card in particular was one of the ones that was bought up. And also a different card. I'll bring that up in a second. But this card here in particular was one of the ones that was bought out for kind of having clarity issues. This token, or this card, the real estate office, as I understand it now, based on reading the forums and watching some videos and hearing people talk about it, as I understand it now, is essentially when you do the oust, at the time that you get ousted, so for here, we're talking about this action, at the time you get ousted, you have the ability to immediately spend $1 to oust somebody else. That's what that means. It makes sense. And this one, of course, means that when you get the influence side, you can pay immediately 3 mints to oust somebody. And this one does not say per token. So I'm assuming that you can only do it once. Yeah, it would be really cool if there's a little bit more clarity. And like I said, the rulebook, if it mentioned these things in like a FAQ, or maybe if online there's a FAQ released, or maybe I haven't found it yet, that would be extremely helpful in helping clarify the rules. Because the rule sheet as it stands, unfortunately, doesn't go through some of the more finer things like that. And last but not least, the last I guess negative thing I'll mention, as far as the rules, to kind of it's all kind of the same point I'm trying to bring up though, is that you have cards like this, like Park, which I understand that this one went through a few iterations before they are reiterations before they actually made it what it is now. But even what it is now doesn't feel, in my opinion, balanced. So there's kind of questions of, how play tested was this, how widely spread was the play testing. But as you can see, I took a Sharpie to the card, and wrote my own house rule on top of it. So anybody who plays this particular version of the game with me will follow the house rule. The reason why I did this is because I have 2 copies of the game, one that's untouched and still in its wrapping, and this one I decided to just mark up because I do want to play this game a lot. But as you can see here, the oust effect for Park was originally that when you get kicked off of the card, you can place a token for free. So I modified the text to simply say less than 3. The reason why is because in the game, I think there's like, I think 65 or 70% of the cards are less than 3. And then like the other percentage are, 4 or higher as far as how much they cost to go there. But the reason why I made the text change here was because it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to get kicked off of the Park and then put your card back or put your token right back on Park. Because otherwise it makes it, why would I ever kick somebody off of Park? So by having this, it makes it to where you can still use the benefit. It's still pretty strong because Park is expensive relative to the game. The most expensive card in the game is 5, by the way. And it lets you, even though you spent $4, you got kicked off. That sucks. But hey, you can place it somewhere else. Essentially almost anywhere else for free. And there's a similar concept on Supplier, which is effectively the same thing but costing 5 instead. So yeah, that's kind of the whole deal that's around all this. So those are just some of the complaints that I have for the game, and I hope they get addressed in some way, shape, or form, maybe in a reprint. But onward to the things that I love about this game. Like I said before, I do love the fact that this game is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The turns move pretty smoothly. It's really easy to get on the table because it's easy to explain, and then people play it, and by round 1, after round 1, by round 2, everybody understands exactly what the game does, and then they're off to the races with their strategies. So those are just some of my my generic review. I know I went on pretty much ad nauseum about some of the things that I dislike, but keep in mind when I mention these things can all be resolved by having clarifications and rules. So literally these things are addressable, and I don't think you should not buy the game. Well, sorry, let me say it more correctly. I don't think you should be deterred from purchasing this game because of that. Because once you understand the rules, it's all irrelevant. The whole thing I mentioned about all that stuff is irrelevant because you know the rules. You know that the rules say you get $1 per mint that you have here. You know the rules say you get this instead, and so forth. It's just initially learning this game was pretty much a big challenge for me, so that was a nice damper, a nice damper on the fun. So yeah, so that's it for my at-length review. If I had to give it stars, I would not rate it as high as Mint Works. I would rate it maybe right under Mint Works because I'm not a fan of Mint Control, or sorry, I'm not a fan of Mint Cooperative or Mint Delivery. I actually have all of them right here. And I unfortunately don't have Mint Bid yet, but I will be getting that one. But if I were to rate Mint Control amongst its brethren, or its siblings, I should say, this is definitely the order that I'll put everything in. So Mint Works is definitely the top, and then Mint Control, followed by Mint Cooperative, and then Mint Delivery. I just really do not like Mint Delivery. That's a whole different conversation, a whole different video, and we'll talk about that later. So yeah, so that's basically it for that. So let's kind of move on to the part where I play a game, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to play one solo playthrough, knowing the understood new rules, and see how I do. Because before I recorded a video, thankfully the quality was not that great. But I got the rules wrong, and I struggled. Let's just say I struggled. So let's go ahead and do a playthrough, and then we'll end the video, and then I'll do some more playthroughs in a second video so you guys can watch that if you want to. Alright, so let me get the first person out. The first person I will be facing will be Karen. And for anybody who's never played solo in a Mint-based game or a game from 524 Labs / Paquito, I guess I should say the other way around, Paquito / 524 Labs. These are the setup rules. So usually you pick the solo opponent you want to go against. In this case, I'm going to be going against Karen. And the solo setup rules basically tell you how to set it up. So I'm going to be setting up the build in this form. So I'm going to be finding the building bunker and park and wholesaler and leadership council. So see wholesale, bunker, leadership, and park. There we go. And I will be setting it up in that order. So we need a bunker first, and then park, wholesaler, and leadership council. All right. And then I'm going to put Karen's card here. Oh, also Karen has special abilities. As you can see, the personality traits for Karen is during the setup phase, Karen gets 1 free mint on bunker. And the bunker ability says players cannot be ousted from this location. So, you know, basically Karen has a free bunker location forever. Also in the solo rules, you start with 15 mints in the central bank. And the mints are finite. So if you run out of mints, then, you know, too bad. So let me do this so I can count. 1, 4, 5. 5. That's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why did I do that? All right. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There we go. 15 minutes. And I will be the color blue, of course, because, you know, cool blue. That's me. And Karen will be the color of red. Just keep the colors different enough so you can actually see who's who. And everything else will go back in the bag and go back in the box. The solo players, they will have their own little deck of cards. I'll keep it there. And for me, I will be using the reverse side of the multiplayer cards to choose my actions. And, whoop, sorry, alarm going off. And there we go. Everything goes back in the box. Alright, so now we're off to the starts. So, alright, so Karen starts with bunker, and then also if Karen were to do influence, Karen can also influence for a second time. Okay, so Karen can basically burst influence on us. I guess that's how you can interpret that. So everybody always starts with $2, even in a multiplayer game. So in a solo game, we're both going to start with $2. And now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and move on to setting up Karen. Karen starts in the bunker. And the AI opponent will start from left to right as far as when they place things. So whenever they go for a placement, they'll always place from left to right. And also, the way the flow works in a solo game is both the AI opponent and I will basically play 3 different actions. I will choose 3 before the round starts. And during that round, I will play 1, my opponent will play 1, I will play 1, my opponent will play 1, so on and so forth. And of course, the opponents are randomized by these 5 cards. These are essentially the same exact actions that I have here, which are essentially the same, similar to what the multiplayer game has, just with, you know, some things modified. Now, I'm going to be playing this a little bit slightly different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these cards over here to the side because I did play a few solo games of this, and these cards are already receiving a lot of wear and tear. So I don't want to mess up my cards too much. So instead of doing that, I'm going to do a bag pulling substitute with these tokens. So I'm going to give 1 for each ability. And that's going to be essentially the same thing. You don't have to do this with your copy, of course. I'm doing this with my copy, like I said, because there's some wear and tear coming on these cards. Because shuffling 5 cards, you can only do but so much shuffle, and then between the time you have, you know, like humidity that's in my area, and then like, you know, sweat and stuff, it ends up causing damage to your cards. So, and we're doing bag pulling for Karen to keep it random, but also make it to where we can actually know what Karen's playing. All right. So same concept. It's going to take up a little more space. I will just deal with the consequences of that. All right. So we're ready to start. I have my 5 tokens. Once again, the game ends once, or at the end of the round, that somebody placed their 5th token. So in a solo player game, once the last token is placed, or once the 5th token is placed, the game ends immediately. And yeah, this is the first player token. I'm going to start as first player. I get to choose my actions. I am going to choose. So now knowing the fact that I get a point for every mint that's on these locations, that makes me want to load up leadership council so I can get some money. I get some nice steady income, and then maybe later on try to get myself in other places. So, given that Karen starts with 2 mints, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a steal, and then I'm going to do a influence, and then I'm going to do a earn. The reason why is because with this particular setup, and I can change this order as I want to actively during the round. I just can't choose one of these other two now. What this, ooh, excuse me. What this will do is this will allow me to kind of have a little bit more flexibility, and absolutely by next round I'll be able to have money one way or the other to actually do something. Because I can place a token here, and then I'll be able to steal $1 from Karen and hopefully stop Karen from doing something, and then I'll be able to have money for later. This is just in case this is just in case Karen ousts me, because Karen could theoretically oust me if even if I steal $1, because Karen can earn $2, or even Karen can do presents and get $4 from that. So I just want to make sure that I'm setting myself up for next round, and I also have control and leadership council, which is a very important card for me initially. So let's go ahead and play through it. So I'm going to do scavenge. I'm going to steal $1, and then Karen is going to do the diamond action, which is to influence. So whenever the AI opponent cannot do a thing, the AI opponent will instead just gain $1. So Karen cannot afford to influence any of these locations because I stole $1. So Karen will instead get $1. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do my influence. So I'm going to pay $2 to go to leadership council. All right. And then Karen's next action is going to be to do gain or earn. She's going to earn $2. Then my last action is I'm going to go ahead and gain $2 as well. And Karen's last action is going to be to oust. So Karen's going to pay $3, 1, 2, 3, to kick me off of this card. And the oust bonus is what I get. So I get a whole $1 for Karen kicking me off. So that's not that bad. It kind of sucks that I lost my position, but hey, I got $4, and Karen has one less dollar than when we started. So it's not that bad. All right, all the tiles go back in the bag. Shake up the bag a little bit for shuffling. And now we go into the next round. Karen's now first player, and I will choose my 3 actions. So I'm definitely going to do influence, and I cannot oust Karen from bunker because bunker's effect says you cannot oust somebody from there. So I'm not going to bother doing oust right now. But I'm going to go ahead and do influence, steal, and presence. The idea being that maybe I can hold on to the location so I can get presents, and then I can also steal $1 from Karen. So we'll see whatever Karen's first action is. That might dictate what we actually do. So Karen's first action is to oust. Karen cannot oust, so Karen's going to get $1. So that means that I'm definitely going to be able to get my influence, so I'll save that for last. I'll save these 2 for last. I'm just going to go ahead and steal $1. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and steal $1 from Karen. So steal. Yep. And now Karen's next action is going to be to do steal. So Karen's going to steal that $1 back. My next action is going to be to influence because I know that Karen can no longer kick me off of a card. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the I'm going to spend the $2 to go to leadership council for right now. Actually, no. I'm going to spend the $4 to go to park, because when I do park later on, when I get the presents, I will get $1 and I'll get a place a free token instead of just getting $2. That's better for me. All right. Then Karen's last turn will be to do presents. So Karen's just going to gain $4 because Karen controls this location. So Karen will get the influence action, which is nothing, and now Karen will also get the oust effect, which is get $4. I do not get this ability in the solo game. We don't affect each other relative to our abilities we play. We just affect ourselves. So Karen's the only one who gets the presents right now. So Karen gets $1, 2, 3, $4. And moving on to me, I can now do presents, and that gives me $1 from the controlling ability, and then I also get to place a token for free on a card that's less than or equal to 3. So I'm going to place it on leadership council, of course. And that's it for this round. So go ahead and put these back in the bag. Shake them up. There we go. And what I'm going to do now is I am actually going to definitely presence first, so I can get some good money and also get a free token placement, and then I will. Oh, sorry. And then Uh, I will influence and oust. So I'm assuming that Karen will be able to get a token down. You know, eventually, Karen's going to have to place another token. So I'm kind of preemptively getting ready for Karen to place that token. So we'll see how this pans out. All right. So first thing, so I get to go first this round. So I'm going to go ahead and presence. Presence is going to give me $2. And I also get to choose this action for oust or this action. Of course, I'm choosing this one. I'm going to go ahead and place my token over here. Actually, yeah, I'm going to place my token over here. So whenever the AI opponent does an oust, they do it from right to left. So Karen's going to oust me from here first before Karen ousts me from here. And then also whenever Karen does a placement action, Karen will choose in a specific order from left to right. If the location is not owned by Karen, Karen will try to put a token there. If a location can be afforded, Karen will put a token there. And if a location, if all locations have a token and Karen has control, Karen will go back from left to right again. I don't know if I explained that properly, but we'll see if that pops up and becomes relevant. But that was just a presence action. I'm trying to see if I want to commit to this, because I could always presence later, but maybe if I get to wholesaler, that means whenever I play earn, I get an extra $1. That could be really nice. But having leadership council means that I will hold on to majority for park if Karen puts a token there, which is useful. So that way Karen will have to waste another turn putting stuff there. Also, Karen cannot afford to go there twice right now. So you know, I think I'm going to stick with what I have here. I'm going to commit to this. Now it's Karen's first bag pull. Karen's going to go and do influence. And remember, whenever Karen influences again if Karen can afford it. So Karen's going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 to influence here. I still have control over it, but now Karen's going to try to influence again. Karen can influence again because Karen has $2. So Karen's going to skip over this one and go to here, to wholesaler, for the last $2 she has. All right. And good thing I planned for this, because now I can do oust, or I can pay to put a card down. So, only have $3. If I put a card here right now, and then next turn I get $1, and then I put another tile down, then I can just end the game and win, because Karen will have more points than me. So I think I'm going to go ahead and focus on that. I'm going to have a whole entire wasted action of ousting. Or I can prepare, because if Karen does earn right now, Karen's going to get another $1. So yeah, let me go ahead and oust. I'll play safe. I'll go ahead and oust. I'm going to kick Karen off of this card. Oh, Karen's going to get money anyway. Never mind. That's challenging. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and focus on myself. I'm gonna spend the $2, and now I'm going to place a token on here to fill this up. So that way, when I do presence, I'll be able to get $3 or $2 if I get ousted. And now Karen's next turn from the bag will be to do oust. Karen has no money for oust, so it doesn't matter. And now Karen gets $1 for that. And now I'm going to do oust. I'm the selective player, or the active player, so I don't get to get the free $1 benefit. That's only the AI player, because it cannot take account for board state. So we move on. Karen's last bag pull is going to be to do presence. So Karen is going to get $1 from here. And now Karen can choose between these two locations. So the rulebook doesn't specify the exact logic. It just says that they're going to choose what's most beneficial for them. So I guess it does kind of specify the exact logic. So that means in my mind, Karen's going to take this because that's more money. So, but if there's a situation where Karen gets to choose between an oust or something like this, it doesn't clarify, because like, is $4 better than placing a token? Which one takes priority? Is it a situation to where ousting is better than taking a token or getting a free placement, or is it that ousting is better than getting $4? That's kind of where it gets a little bit of the ambiguity, which, you know, goes back to my criticisms of the game that I mentioned earlier in this video. Next round, Karen's gonna be the first player token, and I get to choose my 3. So I am going to do presence and then influence, and worst case scenario gain, so I can prepare for the next round. Because if Karen outs me initially, then I'm going to be not happy. It's going to basically take it another round. But if Karen doesn't oust me, then maybe I'll be able to catch up and make sure I actually have the victory here. Alright, so Karen goes first. We're going to draw from the bag. First thing Karen does is earn. So she's going to earn $3. I'm okay with this for now. I'm going to go ahead and do presents so I can prepare myself to actually have money. So I'm going to get $3 from here and $1 from there. So $1, $2, $3 from here and $1 from there. And now I get to choose one of these 2 actions, because remember, with Leadership Council, the controller of this location wins ties on other locations. So I win this tie, I control this, so I can place my last token for free, which will essentially trigger the end of the game. I'm going to place it here because that gives me control of that location, because controller here wins ties at other locations. And that means that the game is over. I win with 3 of my victory points to Karen's 1 victory point. And that's it. That's the solo game. Definitely playing by the correct rules helps out a lot. One of the struggles that I had originally when I was playing by my misunderstood rules, where I only got $1 for having this location, one of the issues I ran into before was that, I just didn't have money to do anything. So I can't oust, I can't do anything else. But with playing by the correct rules, it turns out is actually a much more fun game, much more balanced game. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video there. I'm going to go ahead and do another video that I'll upload as well, so you can check out the extended play if you want to. We're going to play through 2 more AI opponents, and then we'll end things there. So let me know what you guys think about this game. Let me know what you guys think about the video. If you have any criticisms or comments or things that you want to mention. And of course, thank you guys very much for watching. And as always, I will see you guys whenever.